Hi and welcome back to another video. Today's video is going to be all about the new moon that is happening in Aquarius, okay? So by the time this will be uploaded, I think it'll be the 10th of February, so the new moon is on the 11th and it's going to be in Aquarius, okay? So a lot of really refreshing and creative energies coming through here, and how you choose to transmit and transpond these energies is going to be entirely up to you. This new moon is really going to ask you, what do you want to do with this energy? How do you want to move forward? What have you been building? What have you been working on that you can take into the future with you? And what can you leave behind? Okay, so what experiences in your life have been shaping you, for this to move forward? And what experiences in your life have been teaching you how to let go of things? It's important we have a good balance there. I'm really picking up today and just this week in general that there's going to be a almost like I'm seeing almost like the Libra scales of letting go and picking up, and just this constant kind of just balance really of not taking too much and not giving too much, just learning to really be in that really nice equanimous place of you don't feel like you're taking too much and you don't feel like you're giving too much either. So I expect those energies to come through in this new moon. Now new moons typically are they are used for manifestation and manifestation rituals. This could be a good new moon to do this, and it wouldn't be a bad idea. However, now that we're a couple of days before the full moon, the new moon, sorry, it might be an idea to have a look at not just what you're manifesting, but why you really want to manifest this. What kind of joy do you think it's going to bring into your life that you don't already have and that you can't just give yourself anyway? There's nothing wrong with wanting material goods because you think that they'll give you a temporary sense of satisfaction or happiness. That's fine, that's part of human nature, there's nothing wrong with that. But just be wary and careful that you're not asking for things that you think are going to kind of bring you the answer, the answer of all answers, the feelings of all feelings, the satisfaction of all satisfactions. Just be careful that when you're asking for these things, that you're not putting all your weight into them, that you're not it's important to be invested, but you're not sort of putting all your expectations on this, saying that if I manifest this, then I will definitely have this and I will definitely feel this way. Keep it all very, very, very open, because Spirit and the universe has very specific ideas of what we can and can't receive, as do we, okay? So it's important at this time to be aware of what you are receptive to in particular and what you are just not receptive to at this time. There's nothing, like I'm saying, there's nothing wrong with just not feeling like you're ready for something as well. Not feeling like you want to manifest something, but it's not quite the time yet. That's okay. It's not going anywhere. If it's truly meant for you, it will be meant for you in a week, in a month, in a year. Okay, so don't worry about any sort of manifestations that you aren't quite ready to manifest and you're worried that you're going to lose out on them. One of the other key themes I want to talk about as well is that we have a lot of weight, let's say, around new moons and full moons, and people typically gravitate towards those two spectrums of the moon phases. However, there is sort of a huge spectrum in between those phases that people kind of overlook and ignore sometimes. So one thing I feel would be really useful during a time like this, especially in Aquarius season when we're being asked to look at things from a new perspective, is having a look at those in-between moon phases and seeing what they represent for you, how they translate in your life, and how you can then transmute that energy outwards, okay? So Practically wise, how you can start doing this is having a look at what moon phase that you were born under, okay? And you can literally just type in on Google like what moon phase was I born under and go on probably the first or second result. Try not to go on a sponsored one, just go on like one of the two below it. And you can find it out pretty easily, and when you find it out and you see what that phase represents, not just to the collective but to you individually, because it's going to be different for everybody. So let's say, let me just have a think, certain moon phases, let's say like, we'll use the new moon just because it's coming up. So for some people, the new moon is about new beginnings and new starts. However, for others, the new moon is about blank slates and just having that breather, having that, oh, thank God, I don't need to hold any light, I don't need to hold any dark, I can just be. You know, it's a relief, it's kind of a nice sigh out of, you know, because sometimes full moon energies can be super, super heavy for some people, and they can be a little bit too overwhelming, depending on as well like what you have going on in your astrological chart. And I might make some more videos about this as well in the future. But yeah, they can really, like, just the moon phases in general can mean different things for different people. I go through phases of my life where I welcome the new moon, and then I go through phases of my life where I don't necessarily resonate with the energies going on in for the new moon. At the moment, I'm quite looking forward to this new moon. Having a think what I'm personally going to be using it for, and that's just a bit of like a day or two of just time out. You know, no. I mean, not that I'm a huge worrier anyway. I used to worry a lot more than I do, but there's still this underlying current, very subtle anxiety that I sometimes end up feeling, especially towards some of the bigger moon phases like the full moon. I can pick up those lunar energies quite quickly and quite quite acutely, like I'm quite sensitive to them. So it's kind of important for me during those new moon times, like what's coming up, to just take a bit of a breather and take a second and be like, phew, okay, it's not life or death. Like, there is nothing that is life or death. Even death itself is a part of life. Like, you know, I am a very I spend probably more time on my own than the average person, and I think a lot about life and death, and how much I'm accepting of death, and how much we can learn from the moon in terms of accepting our waxing and our waning processes. You know, all we have to do is just look up at the moon to see how beautifully that it can be done, and how not only is it done beautifully, but it resonates energies that other people can then transmute and use. It is just like a wonderful example of how to accept change, how to accept transitional periods and times of uncertainty. You know, there's that whole question like, does the moon know that it's going to be full again? You know, when it's empty, does it know that it'll shine its light once more? Or does it just sit there empty and think, well, this is it and this is fine? You know, so there's a lot that can be used from this from the moon and the new moon phases. I think what we'll do is we'll grab a shamanic healing card. This is, I think I talked about this deck last video, and how it's one of my favourite decks. Seeing if there's anything that wanted to come through. I don't think so, no. Okay, we have, oh my god, this is so perfect, okay, unbelievably perfect. We have the number 26, and the card is duality, okay, and this is kind of what I'm talking about with being happy in the full, the more pregnant phases of your life, and the more, how would you, sort of more satisfying. There's stuff going on. You're always busy. You're not bored, and the thought of boredom is just strange to you. Why would you ever be bored? You know, there's so much to do. You know, that side of things, and then also our downtime where we do wake up in the morning and we're like, oh God, what shall I do today? Like, I just don't know. Like, why am I even like, what what's this all about? Like, I'm not even happy right now, you know, all of that kind of, oops, sorry, one sec. All of that kind of phases, integrating the two, and the theme I think for yesterday's video was integration. So integrating the two and understanding that although we, it's kind of, I'll try and explain this a little bit. So understanding that we live in a world of duality, and the whole dualism versus non-dualism is such a tricky argument because we're talking on different levels, we're talking on different densities and on different energetic frequencies. So we can simultaneously live in a world of non-duality and a world of duality because it exists all on one sort of framework over different levels, if that makes sense. So we can say that, you know, you've got in a duality sense, we've got happy and sad, and in a non-dual sense, we just have emotion. It's just all emotion, and then we can break that down and say, you know, we've got dualism inside. So dualism lives inside a non-duality. It's kind of like are they Russian dolls or are they China dolls? The ones that the nesting dolls that fit inside each other. I'm talking like someone's going to answer me. I don't know. I'll have to Google it, but I'm sure it's either Russian or China dolls that fit inside each other, and that's a little bit how, like, what I'm talking about now. The different layers and the different dolls each have rules and characteristics and energetic blueprints of their own that they carry, and depending on what energy field that you resonate with, that you talk to and you experience, and that talks and experiences you as well, can be dependent on where you are in life, your spiritual evolution, just various different I don't know, just different factors really that play in. It's quite hard to, sometimes it can be quite hard to tell where somebody is because they will talk in a very, very dual sense, and they'll say, like, this is bad, this is good, but then you'll see them, I don't know, a week or two later, and they'll just be like, oh, it's all life, it's just all life, you know, and both are kind of technically true. It just depends on perspective. Okay, it's quite a complex subject for me to explain and even get into at this point, but going back to this duality card, it's a number 26, which goes up to an 8. An 8 is, when I think of the 8, I think of the infinity symbol, and how it's always going, how it is constant, okay? And that's a bit like change, it's always a constant. So kind of this kind of fits in with some themes that I've been personally exploring in my own life at the moment, which is about how similar chaos can feel to change, and how, you know, similar change can feel to chaos, and how you can often get them mixed up if you're not in a clear enough frame of mind, if you're not sitting with yourself each day and centering and grounding yourself and getting back into touch with what you know at heart. You can sometimes get a bit confused about what's going on, and about, you know, dualism versus non-dualism, change versus chaos. It can get quite not scary, but just because you kind of have this feeling that you're always protected anyway. But there is an element of walking on a tightrope a little bit sometimes when you get a bit confused. Okay, so I know I kind of went off on one a little bit there, but hopefully that made some sense to somebody somewhere, and we will have a look. I think we'll grab an animal card now, and just love the animal cards. I just think they're so, not just versatile, but they're just so just the range of what you can display in the there we go, that one. So I was trying to get it without looking at it. I don't know why, because I'll be turning it over anyway, but ooh, wow, now that's very interesting, especially with this card. We have the hyena, okay, and I'm going to show you the imagery on this card because it is unbelievably similar to the imagery on the other card that I picked up. Okay, so we have, as you can see, duality here, with the black bird and the white bird. And look over here, can you not see the half moon? You know, and this hyena energy here. Sorry, I'm not sure if I was too far away from the microphone then for you to pick me up, but I was just saying the comparisons between the cards. So we have the white bird on the left and the black bird on the duality card, and then we have the very, very clear black and white symbolism on the hyena card. And this hyena, I'm picking up so strongly a sense of somebody who is essentially, and it's making me chuckle a bit here, even though it shouldn't, I'm getting a sense of somebody that is pushing past the boundaries of where they should in terms of light and dark. Somebody who is staying up all night to try and see the light and forgetting that it's going to come up anyway, regardless of whether you fall asleep or not. Somebody who is waiting for the light to come up. You know, like I'm saying, they're staying awake, waiting for the sun to rise, and they're essentially almost driving themselves a little bit crazy, getting almost like insomniac if you've ever seen somebody who is severely who has severe insomnia and they don't quite function the way that you'd expect, like trying to put this in a more succinct way, but they have almost this trying to avoid using the word rabid because that sounds awful, but certainly a bit of a crazed, kind of a very intense, look about them. And this hyena has exactly that, and I think this is what this card is representing. Somebody who is not understanding that both exist, and the time for both will come when it is organically and naturally time for both. And you can't force going into the dark, nor can you force going into the light. And some people are guilty, including myself, of forcing getting done shadow work, for instance. And this might be a theme that's coming up for somebody here and just in general, but I'm guilty of myself of basically having a bit of a not a fantastic day, feeling a bit down, and then sitting there in the evening and thinking, right, if you feel like crap, then I need to sit with this and I need to see what it is. Now, sometimes that's a fantastic idea, and sometimes if you really feel called to do that, do it, absolutely, it's healthy. But in this case, I wasn't necessarily feeling called to do it. I was doing it more because I was forcing myself to go in the place where I wanted to sit down and look at my shadows. What essentially happened was that I gave myself more shadows by going into that place, trying to look for what I thought was already there, if this makes sense. So I sort of had an idea of what some of my neuroses are and some of my insecurities are and some of my kind of regrets and stuff like that are, and some of my past trauma as well, and I had an idea of which ones were affecting me and which ones weren't. So when it came to this shadow work time that I thought I was ready to do, I sat and I almost forced myself to think about these things. If you've ever forced yourself to think about a traumatic event, well, it can be quite traumatic in itself, to be honest, and it can be quite damaging for not just the psyche, but for the soul and just for me in general. And I think what this hyena is representing is that there is a time and a place for certain shadow work to get done, and you will be told for sure, when that time to get done is. So I'm also going to relate this as well to the manifestation of the new moon. And there is a time and a place for manifestation, and if this new moon, even though traditionally we'd use new moon for manifestation, if you just aren't feeling called to manifest during this new moon, if you're actually being called to sit with energies and just work through what it is that you want and don't want and not actually begin to ask for things yet, then that might be a better long-term solution for you, okay? So I think we'll grab a kind of an affirmation card, if I can grab them. Eek. Okay, these ones are a bit chunky, so some of them are faced the wrong way. Quite like the feel of, ooh, it's a shiny one. Okay. That is beautiful. I'm just looking at the imagery on it because there's like a butterfly and Okay, yeah, so I get this message completely. It's a very nice, simple, short one. It just says, empowerment calling you. Okay, empowerment calling you. And 1 second. Okay. This is saying, you know what it is you have to do. You know what it is, where your strengths lie. You know that you are going to turn into that butterfly eventually. I don't know if you can see it from over there, but that there is a very small butterfly. You know that that is your destiny, to be the butterfly. And I was thinking about this last night. We have many different facets to us, and some of those facets are the caterpillar, some of those facets are the cocoon, and some of those facets are the butterfly. Okay, we are always changing, and our makeup is always changing, if this makes sense. So we are multifaceted and multidimensional beings, and not all of our facets and all of our dimensions are always in butterfly phase or caterpillar phase or cocoon phase. We work through different phases in different times, in different places within us, okay, to work through and improve over time. So I think what this is reminding me, and reminding you and just the collective in general, is that you, even though you are always changing and you are always evolving, you are always kind of done at the same time. You are always whole and you are always perfect. You are perfect in the fact that you are not yet, and I quote, complete yet. You are perfect in the fact that you are not yet finished or done yet. You are perfect in that knowledge, because there is an enjoyment and an experience to be had with this learning that is part of life itself and part of the reason that we are here. We are not just here to learn our lessons, but we are here to enjoy our lessons and enjoy the experience that we have gone through, and just enjoy and really tap into all our senses and become super. I mean, I'm a Taurus sun anyway, so I find it quite natural and easy to enjoy sensual things, if that makes sense, like the textures of food. I am like the only person I know that actually likes the texture of like mushrooms and stuff like that, and I'm a vegetarian, but I will eat all sorts of strange and wonderful foods. You know, I'm not one to shy away from like chilies and jalapenos and olives and gherkins and all that weird stuff. I don't know why I got onto that, but basically just something about we're here to enjoy. I'm a Taurus, so I find it easy to enjoy sensual things, but I would just say work with what you find easy to enjoy, and use that as a avenue to go into other things, if this makes sense. So, for instance, I love crystals, and I just love the feel of them. I love the colour of them. I love everything about them. I love the way they vibrate and they resonate with me. Now, I used crystals as a avenue into other things that I was then able to enjoy more, because I was piggybacking off something that I knew I liked. So that might be something to think about anyway. So yeah, the new moon energies are perhaps a little bit unconventional, this Aquarius new moon. Not your typical new moon. I'm sure some people will use it as a typical new moon, but I would say that you are